I stream. Okay. Well then, shit. Forgot how the intro goes. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start now for real. Nice picture. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GamersGrove podcast, episode 19. We are your hosts, Will and Brady. No
Hello,
Austin
hello.
this week. Hello. Austin could have joined us this week because we're recording on a day we're not supposed to be, and so he was unavailable. So sorry, Austin. He'll be back next week. Did I mention the date? I feel like I just skipped over that. I'm gonna say it again. It's June 26th, Tuesday. So that you'll be listening to this tomorrow, hopefully. If you don't know who we are, welcome. We're a gaming news podcast. We talk about the news, we talk about the business of games, and everything else in between that we might find interesting. We are by no means professionals. We're just some guys who have a big interest in video games and like to share our opinions on it. And we try our best to be newbie friendly. So if that sounds like any of the things you'd be interested in, then you're in the right place. This week, we're going to be talking about a new Fortnite meta, Bethesda suing Warner Brothers, Valve's ongoing loot box banning controversy, a whole lot of stuff. But before we get into any of that, we're going to talk about games we played this week. So Brady, why don't you start us off? What have you been playing?
Sure. So, obvious one, RuneScape. Mentioned that past couple weeks. Up on every once in a while. But I also play Age of Empires 3. Kind of bored. I've had it for a while. Just wanted to play it. I think I put more time in when I was younger in Age of Empires 3 than Age of Empires 2 actually. But it's not as played as much now. Like Age of Empires 2 is definitely the better game, but I think 3 is still a good game. It's unique in its own ways. They tried to like change it up a lot then as compared to just making it kind of a traditional RTS. But yeah, Age of Empires 3 is still a good game, and it was fun to play just for a couple of games. And
yeah, I really liked their like home country system that they had. You could like call in troops from the motherland and all that.
Yeah, you have like a card deck almost, and you could pick it.
Yeah.
And when you get XP, and when you kind of level up, you could send things from your country or city or whatever it was.
I really liked that. I thought that was a pretty cool change. And I don't know, this might have been like a story mode exclusive thing, but like you could upgrade the town.
Oh yeah,
like, level it up sort of.
Yeah, you could do it. It just counts for everything. I think it's just cool. Experience, so you could do skirmish or campaign or whatever maybe. But
cool.
Yeah.
I really like that feature. I would like to see more of something like that. Maybe in, I don't know, Age 1. I doubt it, but that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have started playing Resident Evil 7.
Woo.
I forgot. Yeah, it's
streaming it.
Yeah. We've been streaming video games a lot more, so we're trying to expand our avenues of things.
Of horror games.
Right. Yeah, of scary games. So Rebecca and I have been streaming scary games every so often, and we just started Resident Evil, and it's like real good. You know, these are games I would never in my life touch, like if I was playing by myself, because I'm a big scaredy cat. But now that I'm actually exposing myself to them, they're like it's a really good game. It's I don't know, it just plays really well. Like I guess I get like why people like Resident Evil so much. I know this one is totally different from all the others, but it's solid. And I mean, I don't know. I'll always stand by the argument that the moment you have any means of defending yourself in a horror game, it's no longer scary. Cause like, come on, dude. A big monster's coming at me. I've got a shotgun. I'm not scared. Whatever. But it's still good. It's still very good. It is scary though. Like even though I'm saying that, like it's still got its spooky moments.
I mean, you're using weapons on that like one lady and nothing. Like she's still going after you. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, okay, well, like with the big bads, like they'll still stomp at you even like when you shoot them, but it feels good, you know. It's like they're coming at you. I'll just throw one shot into your face, and I feel better. You know, I tried.
Yeah.
And I also got my first skill cape ever in RuneScape.
Woo.
So that was, yeah.
What skill?
Congrats to me. Mining. I've been mining at work for the past like month and a half, 2 months, and now I have a skill cape to show for it, and I don't really know what to do in the game anymore.
Move
I've
on to
just
the
been
next
like,
skill.
yeah, I've been like moving around to different skills to see what fits of just like what I want to do, and also just something I can do at work.
Oh
So I
yeah,
don't like
not
get in
a
too much
lot of
trouble.
attention.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Keep
But
your
yeah,
hardcore status.
of course, yeah, no dying. But that's pretty much it, I think. We can jump on over into the news. The first thing, we're gonna start right off with a bang, get into the big stuff. Bethesda is suing Warner Brothers and their co-developer or co-developer
Uh,
for the Fallout Shelter game.
yeah, and the developer for.
Yeah, a small group called Behavior Interactive. So basically, if you're not aware of what's going on, Warner Brothers released a game for Westworld. That's basically just Fallout Shelter. It's like you've got a bunch of Westworld characters, and they're in a Westworldy place, and you manage them and watch them do things, which is basically what Fallout Shelter is. Fallout Shelter being you've got a bunch of people in a vault staying alive after the nuclear wasteland went on. But it's very clearly just a straight ripoff of the game. Even down to the point that some of the bugs that exist in the Westworld game are the exact same ones that have existed in Fallout Shelter.
Mhm.
So they're not only suing them for copyright infringement, they're suing them for what's the proper term?
Oh, like
Breach of
intellectual.
contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their intellectual property breach of contract. That might not be the right one. Here it is: misappropriating trade secrets.
There you
So
go.
basically, that means like the Behavior Interactive took the code for Fallout Shelter and then used that as the baseline for this new Westworld game, which is a big no-no. That's real bad.
Yeah. I think like with the bugs being in Westworld, that's a dead giveaway. Like that pretty much settles the case right there,
Yeah.
proving that they stole the code from Fallout Shelter. So I don't know what they expected. What are the Behavior Interactive doing this? I mean, Bethesda's kind of like not afraid to sue people, so they're just a
Yeah.
victim right now. But they should have known better. This is
I really, yeah, it's hard to like understand their logic and like how did they think they would get away with it?
yeah.
Especially like when you're ripping, like you're straight up ripping the code. Like somebody who worked on a game is gonna notice that,
Yeah, especially
like if
the
they worked
like
on their own game, like they're gonna notice that code in another
yeah,
game.
yeah, the bugs and yeah. So it's pretty much just like a reskin. It seems like of the game, which I think they said that in the like document how it's they're using the same like assets, just different looks different and kind of just copying things more than code. So yeah, here
Yeah.
published features then made cosmetic modifications for Westworld's Western theme. Yeah, right here.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's
They describe it as like the style, like Fallout Shelter style of cartoonish 2D characters in a 3D environment,
mhm.
which is, it's what Fallout Shelter did, help kind of get its look, and now the Westworld game is doing the exact same thing,
Yeah,
um, which is never good.
yeah. I mean, like I don't know what they expected.
Be original, guys.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, there's really not much more. I think this is just gonna be Warner Brothers probably won't want to draw this out, because like
hmm
Bethesda's a big studio, so they can afford like
it,
to wait it out if they need
I
to.
mean,
Like they
Warner
won't
Bros
take.
is if arguably bigger than Bethesda in terms of
Oh,
media.
they for
So
sure are, but I mean like it's like a lot of times you'll see in these lawsuit cases, like if it's a big company like being sued or suing a littler company, they'll drag it out until they run out of money, you know. And they can't do that against Bethesda. Like, yeah, Warner Bros. Is way bigger,
they're both big.
Yeah, they're both big enough that they're not going to run out of money on this lawsuit. So
yeah,
usually I feel like these things just come down to a settlement. Like Warner Brothers will pay them and maybe stop the game, because it's like Brady said, in a case like this where it's so blatantly obvious, like they've already lost, you know, they're not going to want to waste more time than they need to on this, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe they want to be stubborn and try to fight, but
wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, that's, you know, that's how it goes, and we will see what comes of it. I don't think any of us will be surprised by the result, though. But, we will try to inform you whenever that happens. Our next bit of news: Bluehole, the company that makes PUBG, has acquired a Korean mobile games developers called Delusion Studio. Am I saying that right? Yes, I am. Delusion Studio. Bluehole's kind of been on a rampage lately of scooping up devs, scooping up mobile devs in particular. This isn't this isn't a shock to anybody, I guess I should say. You know, PUBG Mobile has proven to be very successful and popular in Asian countries, so it's no surprise that they want to get more people on that team working and improving on it. So, you know, it's company acquisitions happen quite a lot.
Yeah, which I think it's weird that they're still going after mobile games, even though pretty sure I think didn't Tencent make the PUBG mobile too, or did they just publish it?
I don't know. I think they might have helped. That sounds right. At least I'll say that they did help.
Yeah, because I mean, like they're scooping up mobile studios, but you know, is it really that big? Like, do they really need more people to help? You know, I mean, the game's already made. Like, I guess, you know, add on. You know, I don't understand what. Like, I don't know if they're working towards something else or what, but
it just might be to help pump out updates and things for it faster, get more support around it for, you know, people playing it on different phones might run into different issues, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I could see that. But,
I mean, like, I guess, like, it's good that when you have, you know, they probably have millions and millions of people playing it. When you have that many, it's good to just, you know, be able to whip out the support as fast as you can when it's needed.
True.
Better than having too small of a team and they can't do anything when actual issues rise.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm just seeing this other thing saying how they also invested in Kakao Games, which is interesting because, like, in Korea, the biggest like WhatsApp over there is Kakao Talk. And so this, you know, same company, I guess, is, you know, now making mobile games, and Bluehole invested in them, which is in Tencent, of course.
But it always comes back to
yeah. But I think it's interesting how, like, I guess over there it just shows how big mobile gaming is, how other, you know, people that are not necessarily game developers but are just mobile app developers are trying to, you know, get in on it to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait.
Something else you want to?
Wait, they acquired Mad Glory. Is this something? I'm just seeing all this stuff. Is this another mobile? Oh, this is March. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. This is like they've been doing this stuff for a while.
Oh, interesting. And they just have money to spend.
Yeah. Well, they got that PUBG money, you know.
Yeah.
We talked about how Fortnite is the more successful game, but that doesn't mean that PUBG is not successful.
Oh, yeah.
They're still raking in the millions like it's nothing.
Yep.
But all right, that covers that, really.
Yeah.
Going by quick. Jeez. The next thing is something I'm particularly interested in. Just recently, Valve has in a way.
Before we move on, we should talk about the pass for PUBG.
The pass? Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So is you guys probably have seen. I just didn't mean to interrupt, but since we were just talking about PUBG, might as well group it together.
Yeah, of course.
But PUBG came out with like a season pass, or a yeah, I guess season pass is the correct term, but similar to how Fortnite has their season pass. But they came out with one almost doing exactly what Fortnite does, where you could play to win and cosmetic
Unlock stuff.
Unlock cosmetic things for your dude and your guns and stuff. You could, if you don't have to buy it though, you could still get the stuff if you don't buy the thing, but you have to play a ridiculous amount. I think someone calculated on Reddit it's like 10 to 12 hours a day every single day, which pretty much the whole day. But this is interesting because season passes have been around for a while, but in this same sense, I think Fortnite kind of just pioneered that like actual season. So they have seasons and you have to rebuy it every season, and Bluehole PUBG is essentially copy what Fortnite does, and they're suing Fortnite right now for copying them. So it just Austin said
kind of ironic.
Just like a pissing contest right now, and it's just going back and forth. But I think it's a complete ripoff, the season pass. And I think even if you get some of the cosmetic things, you it's still loot box based too. So if you want, you think you can unlock loot boxes, but then you still got to buy the key. Like it's an absolute mess. They're just trying to get a quick cash grab for this little season pass craze.
Yeah, I mean, season pass is definitely is starting to become the thing. I think we talked about it too, but Rocket League also has one now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's becoming another, people take ideas from each other all the time, so this is surprising, but it's the popular thing right now, so it's probably not the last we're going to hear of it. I imagine some other game or company will do it, add it into their game somehow.
I mean, I just feel like you'd think it'd be like replacing loot boxes, but now they're just doing it on top of the loot boxes. So
they're just doing both.
They're just like, screw it.
It's the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Only take the parts that they want to take.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortnite has season passes, but no loot boxes. But can't get rid of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Moving on, Valve has gotten rid of Dota 2 and CSGO loot boxes for Dutch players. This is following the Netherlands decision to what's the way to put it? To rule that loot boxes are gambling and therefore illegal, which I think is the correct answer to this whole loot box mess. But Valve, being apparently greedier than I thought they are, threw a hissy fit and basically has been arguing and fighting tooth and nail to try and convince this singular country that it's not, and that we can still do loot boxes. But thankfully, the Netherlands is sticking to their guns. And basically, because of this June 20th deadline, Valve had no choice but to do something to get rid of it. And this is where the weird part comes in. They didn't actually get rid of the loot boxes. They just made it so any player who's playing within the Netherlands, like any Netherlands IP, I guess, can't do any trading. So I guess this means you can't buy... you probably can't use the marketplace to buy keys even. So essentially, the functionality is all there. They just can't do anything with it, which works. It's just like a quick fix. They have said that they are going to work to make a better solution of doing it. I'm sure all the while they'll be still trying to convince the Netherlands that just let us do it. Yeah. But that's the solution for now. It's not perfect. I mean, I guess you could use a VPN and just say you're from a different country.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a lot of work.
It is.
I mean, just the trade a skin? Who cares?
Some people, I mean, hey, if people are willing to pay 50,000 for Counter-Strike skins, I'm sure somebody will do this.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. But, it says that loot boxes contravene the law if the in-game goods from the loot boxes are transferable. Loot boxes do not contravene the law if the in-game goods from the loot boxes are not transferable, because I think essentially it makes them a currency, so you could trade and do whatever with them. So by disabling that, it kind of gets them around the law. But
Interesting.
I mean, I think it's good in a way. Like, I know, so like one thing about me is how all these like websites, like they could gamble the skins, like OP skins or CS Diamond or whatever they're called. I think those were a complete scam, and like they Valve cracked down on them a while ago, and I think this is kind of the next step of where countries are just looking at it deeper and seeing like, okay, like if those websites aren't there, like people are still doing the trading and stuff and still paying money for it. So I mean, it's still considered like a real like gambling thing. It's not like Overwatch and all of them. They're Overwatch and I guess just Overwatch for now. Can't think of another example, but they don't have to disable theirs because it's not like you could trade and sell the skins and everything you get from the loot boxes. And I know because there's another country, Belgium, and they're like, you have to. It says right here, Belgium Gambling Commission ruled against loot boxes in Overwatch, FIFA, and CS:GO in April, but there's no deadline. I think Belgium, you have to tell them the chances of getting chances of getting whatever drops in it. And I know I think like China did that too, and it's because I know like Hearthstone was kind of a big thing as well.
Yeah.
But I think this is just becoming a trend, and this might be that that we were just talking about loot boxes in scenes past, but this might start to make companies think about what else they could do to monetize the game besides loot boxes. Those might slowly you see games bigger in other countries where this law isn't set, phase them out or something.
Yeah, it's weird that like just adding like the percentile possibility is enough for some people, because like it is still random. So something that's like, oh, you have a 15% chance of getting this in your box could still take you like over 400 rolls if you're just like having some bad luck.
Yeah. I mean, you could be 99% chance, but you just get that 1% every single time, So yeah, but I don't know. It's really, I guess it's enough, but whatever.
I'm glad it's happening. I think we're slowly taking steps in the right direction. Like, regardless of whatever argument people or game companies alike will make, it's pretty much just gambling.
Yeah, no, it really
targeted at kids.
Yeah, that was another point. Yeah, it's underage and it's unregulated. You can't regulate it too. It's like, sure, you'd be like, check this box if you're 13 or whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean,
anybody
whatever.
can do that. I've been saying I'm at least 18 years old since I was like 9.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
That doesn't stop anybody. It's just so that it's like so that they don't feel bad or don't get in any legal trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh no, look, see, everybody here is 18.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I forgot about the kids part, because that's another big thing is, you're letting these kids essentially gamble, and with the skins or whatever being able to trade, it's like you're gambling for real money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a hot mess of things, but we're very slowly getting there, and it's all thanks to EA for screwing up so bad.
Yeah, right.
That's always good. Okay, I think that's all there's to say about that. We could jump on forward. The next thing is Microsoft is utilizing blockchain tech for royalties. Tell me about this, Brady.
Yeah, sure.
Shuts my brain off.
All right, let me update this. All right, so I'll just take it straight from the article here because I don't want to get anything mixed up or say wrong things. But so Xbox, Microsoft owns Xbox, everyone knows that. But publishers, publish games on Xbox Store and everything, and they get money from doing that. And so before they're doing the way they're doing that was a spreadsheet, and they had to do it manually, and it took up to 45 days for them to process payments and get information. But now they're using blockchain on Microsoft's cloud application Azure, And if you don't know what that is, it's like Google has their Google Cloud, and then most people know what Amazon Web Services is, and it's essentially the same thing as Amazon Web Services, but Microsoft just has their own called Azure, and it operates the similar to a blockchain, where blockchain uses like peer to peer, but they're just hosting the blockchain now on their own cloud networks. And you could have, the way they do it is like they have servers throughout. I'm just going to use the United States, but I'm sure they have it throughout the world, but throughout the United States. So let's say you're on the East Coast and you want to access your website, and you want to download something. So when you access that website, like let's say you have your own like Google Drive, your own little cloud storage. When you access that cloud storage on the East Coast, everything will be on East Coast servers, so you access it and download things much faster. And let's say you're just visiting family, and then you go back to California on the West Coast, then everything will also be on the West Coast servers, so you could download it just as fast as if you're on the East Coast. So they do this weird migration thing. I'm honestly not quite sure how it works. I'd look that up. But so they're hosting their own blockchain on their cloud, where now they could process information through that blockchain a lot faster and in real time. So they used an example down here so it says, game publisher, here, information about royalties and the sales that generate them would become available about 45 days after each month ended. And so that's the first time they could see statements and like the game earnings and information about it. So they gave an example of a game publisher might predict that weekly sales of a new game will be $25 million. But after 10 days, the publisher can only got $10 million in sales. So before, they have to wait then 45 days to see that information, whereas now they can see it almost in real time through, Microsoft application utilizing the blockchain, and, make adjustments according to whatever, information they get. But then, if like a little bit about blockchain, how it's transparent, as in you could see, there's a ledger of all transactions that were made on that blockchain on your, whatever. I'm talking about like a wallet, I guess, but it'll be something in a similar where, I'm assuming like each, publisher or vendor will have their own, wallet or code or whatever. And then you could see transactions on each one of those. So it's more transparent, and then everything's encrypted, so it's a lot more secure as well. So there's definitely more pros than cons with this. It's definitely better than manually doing it through a spreadsheet. I think it's interesting to see Xbox doing this, because they have the support of Microsoft and their whole ecosystem of hardware and software, especially Azure. It's like Sony, or PlayStation doesn't, have a cloud application. They have to go third party, like, Google, or maybe they could use Microsoft's or Amazon. But I think this really shows the power of, having a lot more than just a video game or like a media company behind a console. So there's a lot to take in. We'll leave the article down here. I probably miss things or explain things. But feel free to dive more and do it yourself. It's really interesting. But yeah, that's the gist of it.
I heard faster and more secure, so that's good. All right. That's about all I took from that.
All right, that's good.
But yeah, it's a lot of information to take in, but it is some pretty interesting stuff. So if you want to know more about that, we'll have a link provided for you to do some more research into it. Next up on the list, Telltale Games, the storytelling game developers behind games such as The Walking Dead, Minecraft, not the actual Minecraft game, like Minecraft Story Mode it's called, and Tales from the Borderlands. Jeez, I'm like drawing blanks on all their games. Storytelling guys, they are finally getting a new engine. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're getting rid of their old engine.
Yes.
Which is very old and very janky. They've had it like basically since they started their company. and they are replacing it with the Unity engine.
Ooh.
Which I found kind of cool, kind of surprising. It's not like you don't really see a lot of big developers nowadays using like public domain, not public domain, but like publicly available engines. A lot of them make their own. So it's interesting that these guys are stepping back to use Unity, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Unity's a pretty solid engine, and honestly, it's probably better than theirs. So
Yeah.
it'll be an improvement for them. I think the thing that we'll see it take most effect on is if the Wolf Among Us season 2, excuse me, that's the next game they have coming out, which comes out in 2019. It'll be interesting to see if this game is on the Unity engine. Perhaps, maybe it was delayed because they were transferring over to the Unity engine.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I don't really know. There's not much more to say there besides that they're using Unity instead of their old crappy engine, which is good.
I wonder if I know Telltale games have kind of a distinct like look to them. I wonder how easy it'll be to like replicate that in Unity, or if it'll maybe be a little different.
It might be like slightly different, but for the most part, it should, like, they'll probably be able to get their style in there and it looking just fine. They may just have to go about it a different way, but once it's actually in, like, the look of it should be the Telltale we know and have come to love, sort of.
Yeah. I think this is the theory behind why they're switching, but I think after their downsizing, they just didn't have the resource to like maintain their engine and update it, and so they just figured it was easier to swap over. I mean,
yeah, that very well could be.
They have to pay whatever, $120 a month or whatever, but I mean, I guess it'll be worth it for having more resources put towards making games instead of maintaining engine. But
yeah,
I don't know.
It could be. I think that makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, but I think having your own engine though is really like it pays off. Like you just have, I feel like you have some more control and you have a unique like thing for you. And I know you could, it really sometimes it sets you apart, because I know like engines are like really big in terms of the technology. Like if you compare like Frostbite to like what's the Division, like Snowflake or Snow something. Yeah. Yeah, but I know like they're I like in a way they're similar, and like because they look really nice, and there's
Snowdrop.
Yeah. But they in a way like they each like engines compete with each other with like their features, and I sometimes you like there's engine limitations to what you can do, and so I really think engines are like a really big thing right now, and each like having your own really helps to set you apart and to like lock in your assets and what it could do, what you could do with it in the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I like as you said before, I think it's a resource thing right now for them, but I hope they they bring it back if they ever get more people or whatever.
I think that will be the eventual move. This probably is a temp thing, just because they don't, like you said, they don't have the resources to upkeep and maintain their very old engine. But yeah, no, engine, like having a custom engine like can really is kind of the thing that can set you apart, and people don't think about it too much because it's a lot more on the technical side. But basically engines allow you to more or less do whatever you want. The reason most companies build their own engines is because they have a specific idea or specific things in mind that they want to do, and the public engines out there pretty much always can't handle those things. And even if they can, they may want to have their own special twist on it, so they build the engine that lets them do that specific thing that they want. That's how you help stand apart. Even like Telltale's engine was made kind of for storytelling stuff. Like that's how they designed it,
like move by move. Or
and so Unity, Unreal, Game Maker, like those are all very good engines, but they're just more of like blanket engine, excuse me.
And they're
They
public.
kind of, yeah, they cover the bases like okay, but you're not going to be able to like really specialize and get into the real nitty gritty within those. They can do like a little bit of everything pretty well, but that's about it.
Yeah.
If you want to get any more complex than that, you would need your own engine, or just, I don't know, may hire somebody to make an engine. Find some engineers. I don't really know how it works.
And it kind of protects your IP in a way, though, if you have your own engine, because sometimes it's hard to duplicate some of the things you do in other engines. So, like the public ones, everyone could pretty much do the same thing in it. So it's easier to, I guess, I shouldn't say it's not as protected well, but it's easier to duplicate.
Very true. I think that's all there is to say about that.
Yeah, interesting topic.
This is something I'm just kind of throwing in. I didn't write this down beforehand, so I'm sorry to throw this at you last minute, Brady, but I'll be quick about it. A developer I have been following for about 5 years, Ben Esposito, who is working on the game Donut County.
Oh yeah.
Recently got I don't know. I guess let me tell you about Donut County to help explain it. Donut County is a game where you play a hole in the ground.
I've actually read about this, so I can talk about it.
This is that's the premise of it. Is Ben Esposito wanted to make a game where you play as a hole in the ground. That's like the elevator pitch of it. And these other people recently just made a game called Hole.io, which has blown up in popularity, much to the misfortune of developer Ben Esposito. This is a game and concept I can fairly confidently say we've never seen a game do that before. Just like, hey, like you play a hole in the ground, and it's kind of like a quirky puzzle game about making things fall into the hole. That's a pretty unique idea. And now it's been copied and released just before he was going to release his game. And it's insanely popular, which I don't know. It sucks. Like, it's one of those things like, obviously, this lone developer doesn't have like a stake or any sort of copyright claim on an idea like this. Anybody can make a game off an idea. Mm-hmm. It stings a little because I'm sure like they found the idea through him in some way or another. Yeah, he was just about like he's been working on this game by himself for over 5 years, and he was getting ready. Like it's coming out in a couple months now, and somebody jumped the gun on him and took the idea first, or I guess published one using the idea first.
Yep, and this isn't. These guys, like, they made I know this game right here. I've seen Helix Jump, but these guys are no like indie, people. Like they're legit like AAA mobile developers, if you want to call it. But I mean, they just received a $200 million investment from Goldman Sachs, which was intended to grow business. Like that's a lot of money. Like that's AAA stats right there. So these guys aren't some little developers copying what he has. This is the big guys, picking on the indie guys.
The little dude.
Yeah. Yep. So this is, I think this is a problem. I don't think we see it as much in the news because sometimes it's hard to publicize things like that. But I know it's a big problem in terms of like Chinese and like Asian markets copying games in like America, where there there'll be blatant ripoffs of let's say Overwatch in China, and it's like no one really knows about it over here because no one pays attention to that. But in China, it's Blizzard, I'm sure, is like, well, what the hell, like this is our game you're copying, and we're losing out on a lot of money and players that could be playing it. So and I think this is a good example though, because he's actually like making some getting some publicity out of it, and it's getting headlines, which is good, so it could help him out. And make this
It could.
company that just ripped them off look bad.
Yeah, I guess if there's any good takeaway to take from it, it's that obviously the concept is very popular. So
Hmm.
once he releases his very cool, very stylized looking game, a lot of people will want to play it,
Yeah, no, I think and people want to support him now that his company ripped him off. Like I'm sure there's the people that are just like, oh, whatever, it's a game, like who cares who made it. But the people who are dedicated and will actually want to help out the developer, I'm sure will still support him. And I think his game will still be better than this one, even though they took the idea.
Oh, for sure. I mean, thankfully living in LA has its perks. I've met him a couple times at different like game hangout and venues, and he's a really cool dude, and his game is super fun. It's super indie, I guess, but like it's very quirky, it's funny story. Like it's a really good game, and I'm very excited for it. And I'm glad that like, it's clear that like he's bummed out about this, like anybody would be. But he's taking it well, he's got to keep moving,
Yep.
keep going. He's still working on his game. He's going to get it out, and that's really all you can do.
Yeah,
So he's
definitely.
taking it the best he can, which is good. Sorry, so I had to throw that in there
No.
because somebody at work today brought it up, like, hey man, you should download this app. And I was like, and that like triggered, because I had read about it before from like his Twitter, and he said
Mhm.
that, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that. So
Yeah.
I had to throw that in there. All right. Our next bit of news is a little bit of possibly self-fabricated by me, but a little bit of a rivalry going on between Discord and Steam. Steam recently made a thing called Steam Chat, which is basically Discord on Steam. And I don't know how good or bad it is, or even if it's like a public thing yet, but it exists. And in response to it, Discord added a games tab to their Discord. And that is live right now. I could switch over to it right now and look at it.
Yeah.
It's basically just, it looks like it's got some game news on it.
Yeah.
It shows all the games that you have like linked to your account.
It's like a
And
launcher.
yeah, it's a launcher basically, a social tab, everything. It's like Discord saying like, hey, if you want to like try and undercut us, and hey, we'll undercut you.
Yeah. But I mean,
Uh,
Steam has always had like I know that they've had voice chat and all that stuff, and
they have, but
messaging and
it's
like
never been like
profiles.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I like realistically, I don't really think like if I was Discord, I'd be like, all right, like what are you gonna do? Like
Yeah.
I mean, Discord pretty much own the space right now, and I mean they've
Mhm.
completely destroyed Skype, and I
They
don't.
they straight up murdered
Yeah.
Skype
So I don't think Steam is gonna.
single-handedly.
I don't think Steam's gonna do that to Discord. Like Discord is just they're just good at what they do, and they've made a great product.
Hmm. I mean, it's not the first time like a company's tried to make a Discord like
Oh yeah.
thing, and they just never. It's something has to be beyond spectacular for people to jump ship, especially with like
Hmm.
little social things like this. Like Skype, like it was a long time. Like there were other things that existed before Discord, but nobody jumped ship because Skype like did everything they need well enough.
Yeah.
Then Discord came and was like, hey, we do everything Skype does a million times better.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Suddenly Skype is dead.
Yep.
So like I don't think like mimicking what Discord already does isn't gonna be enough to like beat Discord. Somebody would have to make something like completely different and way more improved for
Hmm.
people to actually start moving on
Yeah. That's kind of
to
like
something else.
that. Like I know. It used to be called like the Curse chat, but now Twitch owns Curse.
Hmm.
But it's just like the Twitch has essentially the Discord, same thing Discord does, in their desktop application they could download. And I mean, I've used it a couple times because some streamers or whatever be like, I'm only like I'm sure Twitch pays them or whatever to like only use their or make a community like chat room, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I was gonna call it a Discord, but um,
Yes.
on their service, but it just doesn't compete still. I don't mean like it just everything comes back to Discord. Like the gaming like social scene is pretty much ruled by Discord right now.
Absolutely. And
I don't see it going anywhere.
I'm okay
anytime
with that.
soon. Yeah, I know. Discord's cool. Like
It's super
they
cool.
do a good job with keeping it free, and like I don't know. They have a paid version, but it's still like you don't have to get it, and the paid version like makes it's worth it, and so they do a good job with it, and props to them. And it's game tap. This game tap's doesn't really bother me. Like it's I haven't used it yet or anything. I'll still use Steam, so
it's the same the other way too. Like
exactly.
I have it, but like I'm still gonna use Steam because Steam does it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
Yep.
Stop being petty, guys.
Yeah.
Like, grow up.
It's in like I wouldn't even consider it competition either because like it just there's a clear winner and clear loser, like so I think it's interesting to see them kind of like adding this in and duking it out, but yeah, it's clear of who wins.
Yeah. At the end of the day, nothing changes. Everybody's still going to use Discord and Steam in the exact same ways they've been using them.
Yeah. I mean,
moving on. We haven't talked about it in a while, but figure it is important because it is the biggest game on the world or in the world right now. Fortnite has made an announcement about new meta changes. Essentially, what the gist of their post said was that they want to move away from there only being one real meta, which right now is a mixture of build spamming and shotguns, which this news honestly makes me very happy because I quit playing Fortnite because of the build spam type of meta. Like when we actually played Fortnite a lot, it was like people built, but it wasn't crazy. This is like pre-Ninja, doing his build spam and then everybody doing it. And yeah, but like I can't play like that because I can't keep up.
Yeah, and I mean, but it's also just like a like it like we're so used to playing like that, like a battle royale game and not having the building. This is the only game with it, so you come to it and it's like it's hard. Like I must say, like props to people who can't build pro like that, but it some people just don't like the building in the game. They like the gunplay and stuff.
Well, I mean, like I like the idea of the building, and that's part of the reason. Like when I left Fortnite, I was worried that this was something that was never going to change because it is their defining thing. So that they're probably like thinking they're happy that people are building, doing the thing that sets them apart.
Yeah.
But it was the thing of like, I'm at pro level, yeah, there is, but a lot of people when they're build spamming, there's not any thought going into what they're doing. They're just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it just their overall sense of chaos and everything adds like to confusion to the players and is enough for them to get the jump on people.
Yeah.
But they're looking to fix that.
Yeah. So, but it's essentially like every game has been ending the same way, and Fortnite or Epic Games is tired of that. So they're trying the ways they're looking to change it is they're going to I think they've already actually nerfed rockets, and that you could only hold 12, I think. So that's a good start because rockets, they
just spam.
Yeah, you could spam rockets. You could have 100 of them and just keep doing it. And either one person's gonna run out of resources or the other person's gonna run out of rockets. It shouldn't be like that. But then the main thing that they're looking at doing is capping, resource, how much resources you could hold. And so far, the community has been taking it really badly. I know pros have at least, and this is something that I think it's really bad of them to look at it like this because they don't want change, and they I'm sure they're good at what the meta is, and so they don't want it to change because they might not be as good anymore. But they should, if they like the game so much, they should really support the evolution of the meta and the changing of the game, and accept what the developers of the game want to do with it and the ways they're going to take it.
It's an interesting thing of, I guess, like you said, a lot of people they're good at how the meta is now, and when it changes, they may not be good. funny enough, it's kind of something similar happened in Overwatch recently in the professional scene. When they brought out that new hero, Brigitte, suddenly a lot of the top teams were some of the worst teams, and it became clear that like they weren't. They were more of one-trick ponies than like adaptable players. There's a whole lot of things that go into this, and it's people lash out negatively because they don't want the change, but they're not really seeing this from a development standpoint, and so they don't you can't like fully understand what the developers see and what they know from they have all the data, so they can
but I
they
mean,
know more than we do.
without this, like, you don't need that data to see like this meta that's bad in Fortnite right now. So
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, my hope is just that they don't. This is the one time I guess I wouldn't want the developer to back down to the community's wishes.
Yeah,
I hope they need to at least try this. They need to try their ideas for the resource cap, throw it out there, and just see how people take to it. Because like no matter what, the initial reactions are going to be bad. People are just it's different. I don't like it, but give it some time and people may start to come around to it and realize, oh, this is actually really good for me,
I
for
mean,
the livelihood of the game.
And the people don't know what the next meta is going to be. Like, Fortnite or Epic Games doesn't even know what the next meta is going to be. It just kind of evolves after people figure out what's good. But I think I think it's really petty of like all these the pros and stuff to not support balancing up the game. It's just so weird to think about. It's like every even like I know like League of Legends, like a lot of MOBAs, there's constant, like those games are so hard to balance, so there's constant balancing, and like essentially every balance patch should change the meta because people things get better and things get worse, and it makes everything more fair to play. So it's also something weird to think about how much Fortnite adds to this game and how little the meta changes with those additions. That's I never really thought about it, but it's like they add a new item every week, but it's like there's no change to how people play the game, even though they add so much content to it. Which maybe that could be on Epic Games to how they add the content to the games. I think if they're gonna make such big changes like this, they seriously need to consider opening some sort of testing realm or something that they could put these out there and have people play on it, but not have them on the live servers. Yeah, PTR, public test realm. That PUBG does this, and it really helps. Like when they roll out something new, how the game is, or the item or gun or vehicle map, whatever it may be, it's polished to a point where there's little bugs and it's still fun to play because it's balanced and everything. So I think Fortnite really needs to, or Epic Games really needs to consider doing this, especially with a big move like this, because if they just throw it out on the live servers, there's gonna be so many problems, and like sure the meta will change, but it'll honestly just be a mess. Like and they have so many people playing this. Like it's an article where they have like something like 40 million monthly users and like 3 million concurrent players. Like that's a lot of people to be throwing this out to, but they really need to consider making some sort of testing realm.
Internal testing is only going to get you so far. You really need to like utilize the community to help, like,
I know,
essentially do free QA work. For you.
They have 40 million people. Like, if you throw it up there for like a couple days, like I'm sure you'll get insane amount of information on what you could do.
People won't even realize they're doing work for them either. They'll just be like, hey, I guess I get this content early. But yeah, I mean, this is like this. It is something. The balancing stuff is an issue that people have had with Epic for a good while now. They've kind of been accused of ignoring any balancing stuff and instead just pumping more and more content into the game.
Yeah.
But so it's nice that they kind of seem like they're calming down, taking a step back, and be like, okay, let's actually work on like balancing things out.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, they do have balance patches now, but they don't have it in the way they should. Like, if they add items, if it's bad, they just take it out of the game. Like, it's not like they're like, okay, let's tweak this and see how it is. Like, I know this like shopping cart, I sort of added it in and taken out like 3 times already. It's like, like I don't like, I don't understand. It's like you just need to make a decision and go with it, and then tweak it from there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're no pro developers or some AAA team. Maybe they have some reasoning behind what they do, but from the community's perspective, it looks really weird, and I feel like there could be more efficient ways. Yeah.
It's and like I don't know, with the whole community's response, it just they're thinking it from a game standpoint, and Epic is too, but they're also thinking for the longevity of it. And it's like we said, if the meta stays the same, people are gonna get bored and people would start leaving the game. Obviously, none of the people who play Fortnite like actively right now are thinking that they love Fortnite, they'll never leave it, but they will get bored. The meta, having a meta constantly changing is part of what keeps a game fresh and interesting.
Yeah.
You're basically learning new ways to play without them really doing much to change, like changing the actual game.
Yeah, good way to look at it.
Yeah, but like, so it's not only good for people like me who just can't keep up with the building crap, but it's good for the livelihood and the longevity of the game overall. This will make it last longer, and it'll make people want to play it more, whether they realize that or not. It does help.
Yep. And
camera's a mess.
I think something else that'll be really healthy for the game in terms of a meta is like competitive play. They've said before how they're putting like 100 million to prizes, and I think when they get some sort of circuit or league or whatever like started up, I think that'll change a lot of how they look at like balancing and everything like within Fortnite, because of like the strategies and everything that pros use are so different in the way they like their play style is so much different than like what like a public they do on public servers. So I think if they get that up and going, it'll give a fresh perspective from the dev standpoint on like what they could change and balance within the game.
Oh yeah, definitely so. So I mean, overall, this is I personally think a great thing for the game. They do just as long as they stick to it. Like, even if the initial like the resource cap thing turns out to just be really bad, I hope that they don't panic and immediately take it out.
Yeah.
let it like, this seems like weird and counterintuitive, but like let it sit there for a bit.
Yep.
Because people's reactions to it may change, and even like the devs who may like see like, oh, maybe this is really bad, with time it might turn out to be good.
Yeah.
Like any sort of number of things, even if it's bad and it stays bad, it gives them valuable information. If they just like freak out and pull it out like the next day, they don't really learn much from that.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's just all that is just forcing a new meta upon them, and that people could look at it as a bad thing, but it could also be a good thing of just changing the game on people, and letting them decide what is good and what isn't.
Yeah, so stick to your guns, Epic Games. I have faith in you. things will be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, holy cow, we're about to hit an hour. So that covers most of our news. So we'll jump into our closing segment, This Day in Games, where we talk about anything that has happened on this day in games at any point in time. Just happens to be like that happened today. It's a little different this time though, because our podcast was planned for the 24th. Sunday. So Austin which was Sunday, yes. Austin made a very nice list of a bunch of games of things that came out on that day. So most of what we say will be from the 24th. So Brady,
Yeah.
you start us off.
Sure. So on this thing games on June 24th, Ape Escape came out. Now, many people might not know what this game is. It's a little it's like a game with like it has I think I didn't play the actual original Ape Escape, but I played one of them, that's why, but I played a lot. But it has like mini games within it and you kind of play and throughout it, and it's about like, monkeys like trying to escape something or whatever. I played Ape Escape. Oh God, Academy, I think it was. Yeah, I have to look this up. Yeah, Ape Escape Academy. And I played on the PSP, and I played so much of this game. Like looking back, this game was absolutely like stupid. Like it's like meaningless.
God, I know this game.
Yeah, I know. I like when he said Ape Escape, I was like, "What? Like, what is this?" And I looked it up. I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, yeah. But it's a party game. Yeah, it's a it's a party game. So it's like a Mario, Galaxy or whatever, Mario Party, not Mario Galaxy, Mario Party, where there's a bunch of mini games within it. But it's a pretty unique game though. It reminds me of Nintendo, but it says it's developed by Sony. I guess it's Japanese, that's why. But it's a unique game. I could recommend it like as a nostalgic thing. I wouldn't say like go out and spend a bunch of money on it because I don't know if I could recommend it then. But it's a fun, unique game.
Yeah, and that came out in 1999.
Okay, yeah, the original. Yep.
Yes, the original Ape Escape was June 24th, 1999.
Forgot to say that.
All right, I'm going to on the Stay in Games, June 26th. This is one I actually found for today. Shovel Knight came out. June 26th, 2014. Sorry. Shovel Knight came out. Shovel Knight was kind of like one of the games that revived the whole taking old school type games and doing them new, but still keeping that very nostalgic vibe. Shovel Knight is like a very kind of Metroidvania 8-bit adventure type of game, and it's so good. It's such a good game. I can't say enough about it, and I won't drown you guys out. But just maybe look up some gameplay. It's available on basically everything, so you can, no matter what you have, you can probably play the game. Do yourself a favor, if you have any sort of nostalgic love for any of those old school platforming type of games, look up Shovel Knight and play some of it because it's fantastic. But all right, I think that'll wrap us up for today. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find us at all the usual places, and we are streaming video games on the off days too. So if you want to just watch us play video games, you can do that. We don't really have a set schedule for that like we do with the podcast, but usually like every other day, one of us is playing something. Mm-hmm. So if you ever want to check that out, you can go to twitch.tv/GamersGrove and follow us there to see whenever that's going on. But yeah, thanks for listening in, everybody, and we hope to see you next time. All right.
Cool.
Let me. You can also just cut the stream whenever by stream. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We had a big crowd today. Yeah.